course, we'll be using paper. And specifically, I like to use mixed media paper, but anything that you have that will withhold, or I'm sorry, withstand a little bit of watercolor, that's perfectly fine. We're not going to use a whole lot of watercolor. In fact, other people in. In fact, our main thing will be crayons. So we will be using crayons first to create a watercolor resist. I'll show you guys how to create tropical leaves, which is really fun actually. So tropical leaves first, and then we'll go over on top of it with our watercolor as a really easy way to put a background in there. So I am actually going to pull up our picture simply because I, for the life of me, cannot find my picture to actually show you guys right here on my desk. But I do have a digital picture, so I'm going to display that for you. Give it a second to pop up. So go ahead, and since I can't leave this picture on the screen, because you guys, of course, have to follow along with me, feel free to take a picture of this with your phone, or perhaps take a screenshot if you're on your computer, if you know how to do that. We'll need some crayons, we'll need some watercolors, and we'll need some sort of brush. I have a flat brush, and it really doesn't need to be anything fancy, anything big. Just whatever brush you have that you can that will allow you to easily put a large amount of watercolor on top of everything. It's really supposed to be a very quick process for the watercolor, and most of our time will be spent using those crayons to actually draw the leaves in there. Now, in a little bit, once we get started, I will actually have another picture, and it's a picture of different types of leaves, more than what you see here. So, and honestly, I'm not a plant person. I wish I was, but so I don't know the names of any of these plants. I would love to show you guys a picture, the picture that I found on Pinterest now. This is an image of different types of plants. Well, different types of tropical leaves specifically. What you don't see here is vines, and I'll show you guys how to draw little swirlies and little tiny leaves that come off of those for vines. So again, feel free to take a snapshot of this if you'd like, take a screenshot. So welcome to class. If this is your first time here, I always encourage creativity, or even if you don't think you're creative, anything that pops into your head as you're doing these projects, I would consider that creativity. Go with your gut instinct. I'm here as guidance in case you guys need it. And if not, that's okay. If you want to completely just copy what you see, that's totally fine as well. So let me go ahead and make this screen. Let me spotlight this screen for you. Okay, so hopefully we can all just see that. So we're gonna start off with our crayons first. Now, crayons are great whenever you're using watercolors, because they create a layer, and it's a resistance layer. So the technique that we're doing is called crayon resist, and they create a barrier between the watercolor and the paper. So I'm going to be using a lot of greens. I would highly encourage you guys to grab different kinds of greens if you have different kinds of greens. If not, blues are totally fine too. Yellows, blues, greens, yellows, that kind of stuff. Any kind of leafy color. I always like to put my things in order of dark to light. It just kind of helps me to organize my thoughts. I have a brand new bag of crayons, and it's always so exciting. Now this color here is more like a sea green. It's totally welcome here as well. What else is there? You could do a turquoise. That might be a good little addition. you have turquoise, that'd be great. I always, anytime we use this kind of technique, this wax resist, I also like to throw in some white crayon too. The white helps to create like a little element of surprise. In typical Hannah fashion, they're always broken. I have this one too, it's like a spring green. Of course, you do not need as many greens as you see here. In fact, I may limit myself to the simpler greens so you guys can see what it's like. So perhaps I'll limit myself to just a few. I know, I kind of like the seafoam green. There. So hard to limit myself. I just love all the colors. Okay. So I need to pull up my picture for myself. So let me screenshot again real quick because I want you guys to see my thought process going into this. Right. So here's my thought process. The thing that all plants are going to have in common is going to be the stem in the middle. So with these leaves in particular, it just kind of depends on what color you want to use. With this one, let me see if I can annotate. So with this one, I can see a line right down the middle there. You can see a line right down the middle there, kind of in the middle. And then, of course, these leaves as well, they also have a middle as well. I would call these vines down here, I'm going to call them vines. And those are technically stems right there. I have one that's a little more lanky with some other stems coming off of it like that. They're a little hard to see down there, but they're definitely there. And rainforest images, they always have all sorts of vines hanging down, which is why you see this one up here hanging down from the top there. So feel free to add more. And in fact, I'm definitely going to add a lot more hanging from the top. Maybe I can make mine a little more swirly. So all that blue there, all those swirly blues, anything that is swirly or anything that is hanging down from the top, I'm going to draw that later. So right now, we're going to focus on our main leaves, which are these big guys right here, main leaves. And then we'll work backwards. We'll work smaller. Smaller things are going to be those vines that I just showed you, those hanging things that I just showed you. I would consider these guys, these are also smaller back there. Any questions so far? I know that was a lot, but the idea is that we're going to work large, do the larger things, and then fit in anything smaller after that. So let me go ahead and stop my share. I'm probably going to start off with the first one that I circled. This one right here, I'll start with that guy. And then I'll move on to the longer one. And you're more than welcome to add more if you'd like. You can add multiples if that's what you want. Okay, stop share. All right. So first things first, I like to start off with my lightest color. So even if it's kind of hard to see, that's okay. I'm probably gonna zoom in a little bit so you guys can see a little bit better. When you're doing a crayon resist, a lot of times it's better to press down harder if you're able to. That way it's more of a barrier so that the water doesn't leak through. Okay, so let's say I want maybe 3 or more leaves here, maybe 4, maybe I'll put 4. So I always like to use my hands and I like to kind of place my hands everywhere. If you're able to do that, that'd be great, but if not, don't even worry about it. Maybe I want my first one to be maybe like right about there. So I mentioned earlier that I'm going to show you guys how to do that, that more triangular that more triangular, shorter one first. Again, we're going to start off with the stem. I press down
Is this
hard.
practice or this is it?
Oh, this is
You
it.
said, I'm going to
Yes.
show you some things. So then I thought, well, okay.
Oh, sorry. Made it seem like it was practice. This is the one. This is the drawing. But you're more than welcome to actually watch me first before you do anything. Yeah, because after I show you maybe how to do 3 of them, coloring them in is going to be sort of self-guided, sort of. So even though the outsides of my plants are going to be darker, I'm still going to draw. And if you don't want this yellowish color to show, or not yellowish, but even if you're lighter color, if you don't want that lighter color to show up on the outsides, it's okay. You don't have to press down hard. I'm going to start at the top here because it's pointing up. And I'm going to start by kind of making it, even though it's got holes in it, I still want it to have a cohesive shape. So again, I'm not going to press down hard, kind of like I'm tracing. I want it to have that kind of
Sit down.
more, what is it, more not diamond shape, triangular shape. Again, I didn't press down hard. We want them to be somewhat symmetrical. And if it's not totally symmetrical, that's okay.
Hey. No, out. Come on out. Come on.
And now I know that it's going to have little pockets that come inward. So if you want to watch me do this for a little bit, you're more than welcome to. These little pockets, I'm going to start in here. I'm going to swoop out. Then what I do to one side, I'm going to jump over and do to the other side. Start here, swoop out. Then I'm going to jump down. Start here. I keep saying swoop out. I mean to say swoop in. It's going to swoop in and then out. Then I'm going to jump to the other side. What I do here, I'm going to do over here. Swoop in, swoop out. Go down a little bit. Swoop in, swoop out. Jump to the other side. Do the other side. Swoop in, swoop out. I have one more little spot. And if you're able to put more of these little spaces in here, then more power to you. Now I just realized that one of my leaves, it kind of swoops in like this. And you're welcome to make it swoop in like that, but if it doesn't swoop in, that's okay. A little closer here. Once you're ready to solidify these lines and make them more permanent, you're going to take your darker color, and then you can go in. Am I going too fast for you guys? Please let me know. I can slow down. I am absolutely okay if you guys tell me that I'm going too fast. Oh no,
Sit down.
my Zoom camera on my computer started to freeze. I'm glad you guys can see my phone camera and not my computer camera. That's silly. All right. So I'll go ahead and now solidify these lines. Now remember this line inside your little swoopy space here, that one, you're not going to go over this line, like these lines out here, because these are those were just the lines that we used to draw. Everything else, you're going to press down harder, and that's going to make it that's gonna solidify it into space. That's what you're doing. And notice how I am purposely going outside the lines a little bit. I'm making each little space and each little part of the leaf is going to be a little bit more pointy, a little bit more refined in its shape. Now that was an accident right there. My hand slipped and it ended up working out quite well. There you have it. Any questions so far? Now, what I'm going to do is I will show you guys how to draw the leaf that also has little holes in it, but it's the longer shaped leaf. So I will draw that and you can decide whether or not you want that one. And then I'll go ahead and draw one of the other ones from one of the pictures that I showed you, the picture from Pinterest. I'll bring that back up. I mean, if my computer will let me, hopefully it will. But for now, I'm going to draw the bigger banana leaf type leaf, and then I'll pick one of the other ones. So I'm going to do the same exact process for that bigger leaf. So once again, starting with my lightest color. Now this is my green. I totally could have started with yellow, but I decided to do green. And once again, I want to start with the stem. So I'm going to pick a direction. So I guess for me, I can maybe put it behind here. That might be kind of nice. It can kind of fit behind here. Or maybe I could put it off to the side. Put it off to the side. Because it's a longer leaf, of course the stem is going to be longer. Now with this leaf, I have more space for more of these little pockets. So just kind of keep that in mind. Once again, I'm also going to draw the general shape, but I'm not going to press down very hard. I'm going to start at the top here. I feel like, at least for me, that's kind of the easiest spot to start. I'm going to very lightly draw the overall general shape. And for me, I have a leaf here. Y'all's might be a little different, but I have a leaf here. I'm gonna do my best to guide myself. Well, that might be a little hard to see, so I'm gonna zoom in. And then again, I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. I'm gonna fix that a little bit. Now mine naturally goes off the page. Yours might be the same way. I feel like I need to fix mine a little bit. There, I'm just kind of fixing those angles. And then once again, we're going to create these little looped in areas in here. Still using our light crayon, still pressing down lightly. Gonna go in here, create these little loop-de-loop areas, and what you do on one side, you do to another side, or the other side. And you can make your loopy areas, these negative space areas, you can make them a little thicker, you can make them a little thinner. If you do thinner, then you'll be able to get to squeeze in more leaves in there. I think that's what I want to do. I want to squeeze in some more leaves. So these little shapes that I'm drawing, they're going to be a little thinner. Making sure to go on one side to the next. Any questions? I always get so nervous when no one has questions. Anytime you're ready, you can solidify these lines, so make them darker. You can choose to do a different color green than what you did for your first one. So I do have this like much darker green. It's more like actually it's called forest green. This is forest green. I know that on the original picture, I think I'd chosen for one of them, I'd used like a bluish turquoise green. Personally, I kind of want to find that color again. There's lots of different greens, but not that one. Turquoise blue. I guess I could do that, but it's not quite green. Why not make it crazy? I'm gonna go for it. This one's gonna be a turquoise green instead. I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna solidify these lines now. Don't forget the inside space here, that negative space there. We're not gonna go over this line. I'm gonna start at the top, follow along like this. This is where you can press down hard. This is where you can go outside the lines a little bit, kind of make your leaves a little more sassy. If that's a thing. It's a thing, right? Y'all have questions? Any triumphs for this week? Did anyone do anything creative, interesting, new?
We're busy.
I like that. I know you guys are really busy. I know it's super quiet. I don't like that you guys can't see me. I think I have to quit Zoom on my computer and then let myself in on this phone.
It doesn't feel any different to me.
Well, good. That's really good. Now, the only reason I'm even bothering with this is because I wanted to show you guys that Pinterest picture again. It's not on my phone, it's only on my computer. That's why. But yeah, I'm glad you guys are not affected. And I will ask the question again in a little bit, because I don't think I can really spotlight anyone at this moment.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, do we do things in threes? Because like I have two leaves and I don't know where to put another one. Now, do you always do things in threes when you're doing art?
Usually I do things in threes, yeah. Threes or fives, odd numbers.
Okay.
So for you
Yeah,
might
so I
be
know
able
I
to
put another one.
I mean, you might be able to squeeze something in
Yeah,
the
you're right.
like
Yeah,
behind somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah, and once I get this screen my other Zoom stuff going again, then I'd love to maybe troubleshoot with you if you need some extra help. Now, I would love to show you guys at least one more of those other leaves. Now, I have a banana leaf that I'm looking at on, and I'm looking at that Pinterest picture that I showed you guys earlier. So hopefully you guys were able to take a screenshot of it or something. A banana leaf actually looks a lot like this one, except it's not as pointy. It's a little bit more rectangular. And it does not have any of these holes. So if you want to draw a banana leaf, just draw the same, a very similar shape, except it's not as thin up here, and no holes at all. I could show you guys how to draw. Oh, what is it? I can't read the cursive. There's cursive on here, and for whatever reason I can't read it. But it's very similar to this one, except it's more pointy than this one. So it's like smack dab right in the middle of that picture. So with this one, it's really going to be behind these two. And I guess I can stick it right in here. So once again, I'm going to start off with my stem. And because I know my stem is going to hide behind this leaf, I'll start up here. So it'll just kind of squeeze back there. This one is very pointy. So with this part, once again, I'm not going to press down hard. I'm just doing the general overall shape. I'm gonna put that in closer so you guys can see it a little bit better. Much more pointy. It's going down. Much more pointy. Down here, and then it really flares out. Unfortunately, it flares out down here where you guys can't see it, but I'll do my best to pretend to draw down here. Maybe I can have it stretch right here. So again, this one also has some little holes going into the middle. This one, not nearly as many as this one though, and actually not nearly as many as this one either. So I'm gonna draw my little loop-de-loops here. That side as well, loop-de-loops. Loop-de-loops here, also on the other side. And then I'm just gonna pretend that there's another little loop-de-loop in here. Pretend there's another little loop-de-loop in here. Then I will make it permanent with one of my greens. I'm going to make this one a little more sassy by flaring out the top there. Sort of curving in those lines a little bit. I'm using that word sassy a lot lately. Don't know why. Now, I pretend I'm doing it out here again so I can come back down here and solidify at least that line. I still have a little bit more to teach you guys. There were those other leaves that were sticking up in the back. There were the what were they? I think they're palm leaves. I think. Now, if it feels like you're really like squishing in a whole lot back here, that's actually okay because that gives it more of like a
Good.
rainforesty feel. Yeah, like it's a lot of space to fill. So it's okay. I'm gonna try one more time to launch lunch again.
I tried to draw with a really light line, and like now I have pencil in my yellow.
Oh, interesting. Now you have pencil. That's okay. It'll honestly, I really think that pencil and watercolor together looks really pretty.
I was afraid to draw with just a crayon because I knew I'd mess up.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, that's okay. I can't wait to see it later. Okay, so I would love to show y'all how to draw those other leaves that were back here. And I want to, like I mentioned, I think they're palm leaves, something like that, or fern leaves. Maybe we'll call them fern leaves. So they're more fern-like. These consist of only one color. And in fact, I want to say that one was the more turquoise, like seafoam green color. Personally, I'm going to stick to that because I love the way that looks for this kind of plant. But you don't have to. Choose a color that you like. And these, honestly, they can stick any which way you want them to stick. So maybe this one, it'll stick out here from this direction. So with these, you can just kind of press down hard no matter what, because you're not really doing anything special with the shape. So like all the plants that we have, I started off with the stem. And then we're going to start at the top here and start to make these leaves. Now these leaves, they're much more pointy. I mean, they're rounded, of course, but still a little more pointy. They're very thin. They seem to get a little bit, as in like the overall shape seems to get a little bit thicker towards the middle there before it tapers down again. But if it doesn't do that, then I would not worry about it at all. And notice how I'm just scribbling these leaf shapes in here. There's no need to get fancy with it.
I'm wondering
And
why
Mhm.
thought left my head. But completely gone. Never happens to anyone here, I'm sure.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. And you're welcome to draw more of these if you want. In fact, I will probably draw another one down here. I'll probably draw like another one over here. But I won't do that yet. You're welcome to do that with yourself right now if you want to. The only reason I won't do that yet is because I want to show you how to draw the vines, and I want to show you how to draw those hanging plants. Let's do the hanging plant first, and then I'll show you where to stick in the vines. Now, the hanging plant, you can kind of start at the top here and think about the wind. The wind is not going to give these plants a straight line. It's going to be more of a dangly, loose line. I just squeezed in 3 right there, but I'm honestly, I have room to put more up here, but I'll leave that for later. And in case anyone's having trouble identifying what this plant is, that's because I'm pretty sure I made it up myself. So, I mean, there's no name for it.
I'm pretty sure mine are made up too.
Yeah, totally fine. This is our world here. So, um, so these plants, they actually have some other stems that kind of come off like that. So I'm gonna draw those stems. And those stems are also going to generally hang down. And then after you have those stems, you can really put these leaves wherever you want. They're a little smaller, they're a little rounder. You can maybe keep them only to the ends here, to these secondary stems, or not, or you can add them to the main stem. Up to you. So once again, these are much more loose than even the last fern that we did. Very scribbly.
You can't hardly mess it up, can you?
Exactly. These are my favorite kinds of things to do.
Mhm.
They're just fun. They're so much less precise, and that's why I love them. Can't do
It's
precise.
better if,
any-
yeah, if it doesn't exist, no one can say, hey, that's not right.
That's all right. Exactly. It's right in my head.
Somebody can, but you can just tell them
Well, that's true.
bad, right?
It's right in my
Everyone's
head.
entitled
You
to an
can say
opinion.
that.
I've got a lot of space at the bottom. Are we going to be doing something on the bottom too?
Yeah, honestly, if you
Okay.
have a lot of space, you could actually create more ferns if you have the room. In fact, I don't know if you've seen pictures of ferns, but a lot of times when actually I have a picture right here. When ferns are babies, when they're just sprouting, they
Oh,
tend to be a
cool.
lot more curly. So I have
You can
actually
eat
like
them.
oh, I didn't know that. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
salads, they have them,
I love that.
just the fiddleheads.
Fiddlehead salad. I love the name. Um, so this is actually the fiddlehead. This is like the little sprout. So it starts off as one line, and then you got your scribbles after that, on top of that. So say I wanted some little sprouts at the bottom. I could curl it. And in fact, you would, if you're doing the vines, this is exactly how you would start with the vines. So your vines can go any which way you want them to be. They can be even more curly than that if you want to. And if I'm keeping with that vine theme, it would literally just be like this with some leaves poking out any which way. Both ways, really, it doesn't really matter. That's for the vine. The leaves can go anywhere you want them to go. But for the fiddlehead, the leaves actually are on the bottom. They curve inward. The leaves curve inward, so they're only going to show up on the inside.
Oh dear.
Oh, that's okay. All you have to do is follow it along. And honestly, they could stand to do more. Can't wait to start coloring these things now. Now, I will end up drawing more of the actual fern leaves later. I do want to show you guys how to color the leaves in next. And you don't have to finish drawing your vines. You don't have to finish drawing anything that that is the one color items. So for me, anything that's the sea foam green elements, you don't have to finish that. Any questions?
I was thinking about putting some flowers in, just a little, like a little pop of
Oh.
color.
Yeah, pop of color. I like it.
But I also don't know, like, I guess in the background, we're gonna have maybe one or two colors, like you have purple-ish
Mhm.
on one.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, it's only purple. I only have purple.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're more than welcome to draw that in with your crayon anywhere you can squeeze it in.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's exciting. Yeah, feel free to draw some flowers in there. Now, on, man, I wish I could display the original picture up. But on these, so the ones that are shaped like this, um, whenever I did this, I chose to use 3 types of green. So, and you don't have to do this. The only thing that's important is to choose a light green and then something darker than that. So if it's a 3 colored leaf, then I've got my light one, and actually my light one is the same color as my stem here. I don't know if you guys can see this, but well, I don't know if you guys can tell, but you can hardly see the actual stem that I initially drew because it's all colored in here. And then my second color was more this one. This was the yellow green. That's just what I chose. And then my third color is my darkest color. Now, ideally, your third color would be the same one that you outlined in it. That's what you use to make it permanent. Ideally, that would be your last color. But you don't have to make it 3-toned. You honestly, if anything you want goes here. So say I wanted to make this only 2-toned, that's okay. Color it with this one first, then with this one. But if you change your mind and you're just like, oh, you know what, I actually don't want this color anymore, that's okay. You can throw in another color. And the dark color, if it's darker, it will override. It will go on top of the lighter color and for the most part cover it up. So I could technically go with 3 for this one, but I don't have to. Same thing, same rules apply for any of the other ones that we have too. So for this one, what did I use? I used the turquoise, right? I think. Here it is. So my turquoise is actually going to be my darkest color. And if I wanted to, I could throw in another one. And then my middle color is going to be this one right here. Same one I've been using. I told you guys, I get clumsy. Start flipping things everywhere. So actually, I feel like the turquoise and then spring green and this one would actually be really nice. If you change your mind and you don't want to use the same color you use for your stem, you can always go a little darker and it'll be okay. Okay, and I guess I'll decide my colors for this one later. But pick a leaf, any leaf, no matter what, start off with your lightest color. So the fibers of these kinds of plants, they tend to point outward. And so because of that, my my not brush strokes, but my coloring strokes, I guess, they're also gonna point outward. And just for starters, I'm not really gonna press down too hard. I'm just kind of feeling it out a little bit. If it's helpful for you to move your picture around, then go ahead and do so. You can just kind of move things around as you see fit. Whatever is easier for you.
Now,
I'm
if
just
you
gonna
don't fill it all in, we'll fill it in accidentally with like maybe another color on the leaf, right?
Yes, and honestly, I do feel like it's easier to stretch a little bit extra with your lighter colors because then
Okay.
you're not accidentally leaving a little bit more of the white space.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot easier to keep track of things that you don't see if you have more of the light color. So for here, you know, I started off pretty thin, but I can always stretch it out. That doesn't mean I have to keep this much yellow, but at least I've got all my bases covered. Same thing for the other side. What you do to one side, do to the other side. So I can start off kind of thin and then make it stretch out. Now, it's up to you, and I'm gonna do this. But again, it's up to you. I actually really love leaving a little bit of white space whenever I'm doing the crayon resist. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's these tiny little bits of white space. That's because I personally love the way the watercolors look whenever they seep into these tiny little places. It even if it's a dark color and it doesn't quite match, like if I were to put purple in here, it would really stand out. So just something to think about. And honestly, you could completely avoid your leaf altogether when you're putting your watercolor on top. If you have like a, and I'll repeat all this again later, but if you have a thinner brush, you can kind of avoid anything on the inside if you want to, so that there's no risk. Anytime you are ready for the next color, this is going to be the next shade up. You can begin that process. And I'm starting it on the outside of my light color, but then eventually I'm going to overlap. See that? Again, you do want to make sure that you're pressing down hard, at least as hard as you can, just in case you do get some of that watercolor color on top. Overlapping that yellow so that I have a little less of it. And then what I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other side. But actually, first, before I do that, I am going to stretch this color, because for me, I know that I want a third color, and my third color, I know it will overlap the spring green. So again, I'm going to jump to this side. Do the same thing to this side. Be sure to give your hand a break. I've been using crayons for a really long time, and they still make my hand pretty tired. So give yourself a break. You don't have to, you don't have to be able to color this whole thing in one go. I always like to just kind of stretch my wrist out, stretch my fingers out. Any questions? All right. Yes, my third color. For me, my third color is going to be darker than the color that I outlined with. So I can kind of just start out coloring it in and then later on outline it. Doesn't really matter. Everyone's so concentrated. Their crayons. You can kind of outline it as you go as well, if that makes you more comfortable. I'm probably going to stretch this color quite a bit upwards. I think I'm changing my mind, and I kind of want to outline the middle here with the dark color. I like that. I like the way that looks, so I'm going to keep that.
Did you say why you use that seafoam green on the, such a different color? Did you say why? I mean, you don't have to. But...
No, I don't think I said why, but For me, I like to have a variation in colors, and the seafoam green. I don't, I don't know if you were looking up earlier, Karen, but I had
I
flashed
saw
up this
that.
picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I personally just liked the way this kind of turquoise looks, with like in the setting of a tropical setting.
Yeah. I mean, it's very
So I
Florida
just
with the
kept it.
pink and the. I just can't put my head between what that when you showed that to what
Mhm.
my page looks like. But that's okay.
Oh, well, it's okay. It's a different medium too, so don't forget that. Like what I showed you, that's an acrylic painting. There we go. Now for me personally, I'm just going to tie in the middle here just by making that line darker.
I'm so glad
There
you
it
did that
is.
because I'm wanting to put in like a turquoise in the background, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right. And it's like, well, she
Uh-huh.
just did it. I didn't like, I didn't know you. I didn't notice you doing it.
Yeah, I feel like it just kind of, at least with this picture, it looks better if it's outlined. Somehow it works with the original picture, but at least with this one. Now I have just one more to fill in the background here. I'll probably add maybe another fern or actually maybe more hanging guys right here, right over here. And then after that, that's when I'll start to put in the background. So I'll finish this, then I'll put some hanging plants at the top, and then we'll do the background. Okay, guys, so I'm going to grab my watercolor. Here they are. And I'd love to show you how to put that in there. And maybe my formula will just come to me while we're doing this. I don't remember the ratios. I wish I did.
I'm sure it's on
Um,
the internet.
yeah, it is on the internet. That's how I found it. But
And
anyway,
then there's everyone's gonna have their own opinion.
they do, but you're right, Karen, they do have their own opinion. So I'm gonna grab one of my brushes and I'm just gonna use like a flat brush. If you guys want to be a little more careful and just stick to only doing the outside of your leaves, then I would recommend using a round brush. So something pointy. There you go, like one of these guys. That way you can squeeze it into all these little spaces here. That part will definitely take a while, so I'm not gonna do that. I'll probably do a little bit just to give you an idea of how it goes, but I probably won't do that for all of this. For the original painting method, I think I actually do think I did just a little bit uh, of that, squeezing it in some places. We
Can't you
definitely
just
want to
like
use.
color use a white crayon over like everything if you're worried you missed something? Or no?
Ooh, that's a brilliant idea, Brandy. Please, yes, do that.
Okay, so then we could just be
That's
slappy.
brilliant.
All right, cool.
Yes, honestly, let me do that right now. Just to some of these areas, like this one, for example, just kind of squeeze it into all those white spaces that you see, and the white crayon is not going to mess anything up. So, Brandy, hats off to you for that.
All right.
I know.
It's good to have a collective brain.
Seriously. That's so right. So yeah, you're more than welcome to be as sloppy as you want to be, or whatever's necessary. Cover over it or color over it with the white crayon, and that will help you to protect it. I'm mostly just gonna cover the middle portions here, just because it's a little bit harder to see, because this yellow, it's such a light color. But that's about it. I think this one we'll just kind of leave it alone. That way you guys can see the color sink into all these tiny little spots. Yay, I love these surprises. I actually forgot to add another dangly portion right here. So I'm gonna do that really quickly. Super quickly, and then we'll do the watercolors. For the watercolors, we will add a lot of water to the color. So for some people, if you have room to, I guess, yeah, if say I had a little bit more space right here, I could mix lots of water with whatever is here. Now I might still do that. So the more water you have, the more the color is going to be able to spread a little bit more evenly. It'll look like watercolor. So let's see, for me, I already have plenty of color right there, so maybe I can use some other space. Here we go. Just have to remove these guys. Okay, so here's what I would do if you have some space here. I'm gonna take my water. I'm just gonna put a bunch of it here. Plenty of water there. I'm gonna do just a little bit of pigment at a time just to see what it looks like. Now, for me, I like to do more dramatic colors when I'm doing this kind of technique. So that's actually why I chose the purple. I chose the purple because it was very different from the green. If you really want to go dramatic, red would be a good choice. But then you run the risk of having it look a little bit too much like Christmas. Unless you love Christmas, then go for it. What else is there? What else can I do?
I was thinking about this with all the green on St. Patty's Day.
Oh, St. Patty's
Oh,
Day. I
yeah.
didn't even think about that.
My
Yeah.
parents were married on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, see, I didn't even make the connection. Ooh, I'm gonna really go dramatic and I'm gonna do orange. So I've got my orange. I have plenty of water I can pre-mix it in with. I don't know if some of you guys caught that, but a little bit of blue mixed into it, and I'm totally happy with that. Anytime you have the opposite colors, like blue mixing with orange, it's gonna dull the color down a little bit. If you put a lot, it'll make brown, and that's not always a bad thing. In fact, I'm gonna further dull mine down just a little bit because I don't want it to be super bright. So I'm just gonna dull mine down a little bit with that blue, and then leave it at that. Okay, so I have this big puddle of water right here. Later on, I can always immediately add some more of that orange straight to my paper later on. I just wanted to pre-mix a little bit. So, got it here. Start off pretty boldly. I'm happy with my color choice. Going to spread it. That is a lot of water. So if I want to, I'm not going to completely cover this entire thing with my color just yet. I'm going to pick and choose which places, which areas to make it a little bit more saturated with my color. So I can go back and tap a little bit more of this color in whatever space I want it to be. I'm aiming for the most wet areas because then the water does the work for me. The water spreads for me, so I don't really have to do very much. That napkin that I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna have that handy just in case I have some areas, like right there, for example, areas that pool a little bit too much. So I can take a corner, I can continually fold it first, actually, make it nice and grippable, but also a little bit more pointy at the end, but grippable, and kind of tap it. Tap it wherever it pools on top of the crayon. And because it's a little more pointy, you can have a little more control over it. If you need to just kind of scrape it off in some spots, you can do that. And I'm not pressing down hard at all. I'm just kind of tapping it or swiping it just little by little. And that helps me to keep some of these areas a little more free of major pools. When you're ready, continue with your little puddle that you have. Keep on going. In the original picture, I actually did not make it all the way to the edge. I purposefully stayed away from the edges. I did that because I didn't want it to look like I was trying to reach the edge a little too hard. I like the look when it's more rounded. So I have some spots here that are very wet. So I can go in with my actual color. I need to add a little more water. Grab my orange, tap in some of these spots. And if you have any spots like kind of like this one right here, then like some of these spots in which there's really not a whole lot of water, so the color is just staying put, it's not moving, like right there. You can go back in, grab a little more water, and tap right there, right on the spot. Make sure you have a nice little puddle. You can always go back in and you can add more color like this. Same thing here. Plenty of
Hey,
space to add more color.
Did you, I don't think, unless I missed it, did you do any with the white crayon, like behind, like background surprises, or no?
Oh no, I forgot. I forgot to do
Okay.
background
Were there
surprises.
just, I'm just getting ready to do the watercolor part. Were those just like little dots or scribbles or?
What did I have in the picture? Let's see. No, honestly, I don't think I had any surprises. I think it was all just the seafoam green. So it was what is it? Leaves like from the vines. It was,
Okay.
some of this like closer to the bottom.
Okay.
But yeah, you're more than welcome to add background surprises. Now, as you can see here, I put the paint right on top, and because I had gone over this little spot with my crayon, you can't really, honestly, the crayon did a really good job of protecting it. So all of this here is solid.
Huh, yeah.
So yeah. So now all I need to do is go in and scrape away those little pools anywhere it's kind of dotting and sitting on top of the crayon. You can always move your little napkin around to a cleaner spot and then continue on your way. Now for me, I have a few little tiny spaces on the side. These spaces over here. I need to make a little bit more of this base color. That's what I should call it. It's a base color. I don't think I need too much of it. There we have it. And I just need to add a little bit of color to that. And then continue on my way. Continue to make it darker. And I'm not going to clean up my edges. I really like that messy look. So I'm going to keep it. Now with this particular leaf, I know that I have lots of little spaces that I can color. So I'm definitely going to go behind there so you guys can see what that looks like. And don't get me wrong, I have a lot to scrape up, but at least I can go back. Whatever touches the white in the background, that's going to be permanent. Mostly permanent. I'm going to keep that as is. I don't want to light that up too much. The white crayon did a great job of protecting this leaf as well. I only see a few spots that I think could use a little bit of my darker color. So just the orange, But other than that, I think I'm mostly finished. Would anyone love to share their work?
I don't know which way
Yeah.
to share.
Ooh,
Oh, that's lovely.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. This was so
Seriously, I love
relaxing.
good. Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Well, thank you all, and you have a good night, everybody.
You too. Have a good
good
night.
night.
So Susie first, and then Sherry. I see you. I'll show you Sherry after
Oh.
Susie. Look at all the colors.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. How cool is that? And I
How
like
many
that you
background
have.
colors?
Yeah, I think I did 2 background colors, like pink and
Nice.
blue. Yeah.
I
So
love that.
yeah.
It looks so good, Susie. Sharon, you're next. I saw you.
Well,
Where
now
are
I'm
you?
embarrassed to show mine.
Oh no, don't be
Aw.
embarrassed.
Nice. Oh, I
There.
love
Oh,
the
that's
colors.
Sharon. How
I
can you
love
be
the colors.
embarrassed? That's so good.
I think it's
I
great.
like this part.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I don't like the
I
difference.
really, I love them. I really love them. Love it. Okay, Brandy's next. I see you. Oh, there we go.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you did 2 colors too, didn't you?
No, you mean background? No. The only thing
Oh.
different that I did was some flowers, which you can't. I feel like you can't really see them. I mean, you can see the flowers, but I feel like they're just they look like stars floating around.
Oh,
They're
no,
connected
no, I
to
can't see them.
vines.
Oh, I
Oh,
can see
okay.
it now. I can see it
Yeah, I
now.
see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and maybe I
okay.
should. Well, I guess I can't. Can I darken? Can I darken it up after the fact or no?
It's maybe. I think it depends on the color you use. I think it
Okay.
depends. Yeah,
Okay.
it depends on what you use on top of it. It might surprise you.
Okay. Well, I can give it a try.
Why not?
Thank you.
Yeah.
This was wonderful. Thank you all.
Yeah.
But my crayon things weren't good, so I did some watercolor over with the same color to make my leaves look better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
Oh,
happy
that,
yet, but I'm like,
I,
I will be. I will be.
yeah, I like that.
Hannah, I saw your cat tail.
Okay, I have to spotlight her just for a second. She decided she's trying really hard to be comfortable and she can't.
She's like, Mom, I need some
Why
love.
can't she be comfortable? Oh, because you're holding her?
Yeah,
What's
I'm
her name?
holding her.
What's her name?
Callie. Her name's Callie.
Oh my gosh, my dog's name is Callie.
Oh,
I love
wait.
She
That
looks
makes
very
me so
happy now.
She'd be happier if she could have both hands, but I have to take my hands away.
Oh, she looks offended now.
She does. Yeah, you see
Ears
the
are
angry
better.
look now.
Can I
I
show
love it.
mine?
Yeah, Anna Marie, where are you? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking for you. Here you are. Okay. Oh, I
that's
love
cool.
that.
Oh, nice.
That's
Pretty.
cool.
Oh,
That's
wow.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, your colors are so nice.
I love the
Yeah.
And there's
boldness of the edges.
mhm, the boldness of the edges, and I love that greenish, bluish color you have in the background.
Oh, thank you.
Everywhere you have so much going on, and it's really pretty.
I had used oil pastels because I didn't have crayons, and it was,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, it was hard to do fine work. It was just very
Mm,
clunky.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you have any issue with the watercolor on top of it?
No, not at all.
Oh, good. Okay, that's
Yeah,
good. So
it worked fine.
it was mostly an issue with using the oil pastels?
Yeah, because I'm not used
Okay.
to using them.
Gotcha. Well, that actually brings me to a question that I saw in the chat. Sandra asks when we can use oil pastels, and that might be a good chance for us to actually use some oil pastels. So maybe, and so not next week, but I think I still have to plan for the week after next week. So I think we can do oil pastels then.
I'm gonna sign off now. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Sure.
And good night,
Yeah.
everyone.
Good
I
night,
gotta go
Tony. I
too.
see you.
Me too. Bye,
Good
all.
night,
See you next
y'all.
week.
Bye.
Oh, wait,
Good
is
night.
that Tony?
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
Tony
Yeah.
here.
Oh.
There's Tony.
Oh, that's cool.
You did the holes in the leaves too. That's cool. I meant to think about that.
Those
There we
snails,
go.
those damn snails.
I'm so
That's
happy
cool.
you thought about that, Tony. Yeah, that looks so nice.